My father raised his glass in front of 200 wedding guests, smiled straight at me, and announced that he was still paying my college tuition. 200 people laughed. My sister smirked. My mother beamed with pride. What none of them knew was that I hadn't touched their tuition money in over 6 months. I had already graduated. I already had a career. I was already earning more than the groom standing next to my golden child sister. And when my father handed me the microphone expecting a thank you speech, he handed me the truth instead. In the next 5 minutes, that entire reception would change forever, and stick around, because the moment where a wedding guest asks one simple question is the moment the entire family story collapses in front of everyone. If you're the kind of person who loves watching entitled families get exactly what they deserve, hit subscribe right now, because this channel is full of stories exactly like this one. Drop your state or country in the comments. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's get into it. My sister Madison had been the sun our family orbited around since we were kids. She got a B- in 7th grade, and my parents hired her a private tutor within the week. I graduated near the top of my class, and I got a congratulations over a rushed dinner before everyone moved on. When Madison wanted a car at 18, my father bought it the same weekend. When I needed $200 for textbooks, I picked up weekend shifts at a warehouse in Columbus, Ohio. That was the family operating system. Madison wasn't cruel, she'd just never been told no. My parents rewarded every win, excused every failure, and treated her birthday like a national holiday. Meanwhile, I learned fast. If I wanted something, I'd have to build it myself. So I built it. Scholarships, internships, part-time jobs. While Madison spent her weekends at country clubs and rooftop bars, I was in the library or clocking hours. It wasn't glamorous. But by the time I hit college, most of my tuition was already covered by merit awards, and the little bit my parents did contribute came wrapped in constant reminders of their generosity. Then Madison got engaged, and suddenly nothing else in this family existed. Every dinner became a seating chart discussion. Every holiday became a venue tour. My parents dropped tens of thousands of dollars on flower arrangements, string quartets, and a photographer flown in from Chicago. It wasn't a wedding, it was a full-blown production, and I was expected to be a background actor in it. Every planning meeting, every rehearsal, every single weekend, booked for months, and if I said no, even politely, I became the villain. Then 3 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang. It was my father, and the second he opened his mouth, I realized he still thought he owned my future. No small talk. Straight in. You've been disappointing this family. I said nothing. He kept going. You keep skipping wedding events. Madison's hurt. Your mother's exhausted. Frankly, we're all sick of your attitude. I almost laughed out loud. For a full year, every single conversation in this family had been about one event. Nobody had asked about my job. Nobody had asked about my plans. Then came the line I'd been waiting for. If you don't show up and support your sister properly, we're done paying your tuition. There it was. The same leash they'd used on me since I was 17. Except this time, the leash wasn't attached to anything. I had graduated nearly 6 months earlier. Not only that, I'd landed a remote software role at a fast-growing tech company in Austin 2 weeks after walking the stage. The salary was more than double what I expected. With bonuses, I was already out-earning Madison's fiancé, a guy who worked in commercial real estate and never let anyone forget it. Nobody in my family knew any of this. Not because I hid it, because nobody ever asked. My father kept talking, telling me to remember who made me who I was. I stared out my apartment window and let him finish. Of course, I said calmly. His voice relaxed instantly. He thought he'd won. For the first time in my life, they were yanking a string that wasn't tied to me anymore, and it felt incredible. Over the next 2 weeks, Madison's demands somehow doubled. Attend every rehearsal. Personally greet every guest. Bring an expensive gift. deliver a glowing toast. I agreed to all of it, and that shocked everyone. My parents turned instantly cheerful again. Madison acted like she'd already won. They assumed the tuition threat had whipped me back into obedience. I let them believe it because 2 days before the wedding, I got the reception program in my email, and the second I read it, I understood exactly why they wanted me sitting front and center. And that program is the reason this entire story is about to flip upside down, so stay with me. The wedding took place on a Saturday afternoon at a country club outside Nashville. From the second I walked in, something felt off. Not normal wedding day happy. Smug happy. Like everyone already knew how the night would end, and I didn't. Madison floated through the room, greeting guests like a celebrity working a red carpet. My mother trailed behind her, loudly reminding people how much work went into the perfect day. My father barely looked at me. Just a pat on the shoulder and, "Glad you finally came to your senses." I smiled and said absolutely nothing. The ceremony was standard. Vows, tears, photos, dinner. The real event started at the reception, when I opened the program and saw a section titled Family Tributes. Several speeches were scheduled, including my parents. The first few were harmless, friends telling sweet stories, distant cousins offering toasts. Then my mother stood up. She started talking about Madison's achievements, her degree, her career, her fiancé. Then, slowly, the speech shifted. She started talking about sacrifice, financial support, years of hard work, opportunities given. She mentioned more than once how much she and my father had provided for their children. I knew exactly where this was going, and if you think that's bad, wait until you hear what my father says next, because this is the moment the entire trap gets set. My father took the mic next, and he wasn't subtle about it at all. He praised Madison and her new husband as the picture of responsibility and success. Then he pivoted to me. Not by name at first. Just enough for 200 people to understand exactly who he meant. He talked about younger family members who still need guidance. About people who should appreciate parental support. About those who aren't quite established yet. Heads turned toward my table. I understood the entire performance instantly. They wanted Madison and her husband framed as the successful adults, and me framed as the struggling little sibling still living off mom and dad's checkbook. Then came the finishing blow. My father smiled at 200 guests and casually mentioned the tuition he claimed he was still covering. A few people nodded sympathetically. Across the room, Madison looked absolutely delighted. Then my father turned, extended the microphone toward me, and waited for a grateful little speech. Instead, he handed me control of the entire room, and he had no idea what was about to happen. I stood up slowly and took the mic. Total silence. My father looked satisfied. My mother smiled, waiting. Madison sat beside her new husband like she was expecting applause. I took a breath. First, congratulations to Madison and Tyler. I genuinely wish you both a happy life together. Polite nods all around, including from my parents. Then I kept going. I also want to thank my family for everything they've given me over the years. My father's smile widened. It didn't last. Although, I said, I'll admit I'm a little surprised there's so much concern tonight about my tuition. A few soft laughs rippled through the crowd. My parents did not laugh. The reason I'm surprised is that I graduated 6 months ago. The room went dead silent. My mother's smile froze mid-face. My father blinked twice, slow, like his brain was buffering. Madison's expression cracked into confusion. I didn't stop. I graduated a semester early. Scholarships, internships, and a lot of very long nights. A few guests exchanged wide-eyed glances. I started a full-time job right after graduation, and I've been working ever since. Now every single person in that room was paying attention. Real attention. The kind my family had never once given me. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't attacking anyone. I was simply, calmly, correcting the record. My parents may not have known that, I said, since we've mostly talked about wedding planning for the last 12 months. A few uncomfortable chuckles. My father's face went fully red. I stayed completely calm. The good news is, nobody has to worry about my tuition anymore. It's already handled. I paused, just long enough for the room to lean in. As for my financial situation, I'm doing fine. Better than fine, actually. Tyler shifted in his seat like his collar had gotten tighter. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, I said. I'm just correcting the story that's been told about me tonight. My career has made me completely independent. My income is already higher than I ever expected to see this early in life. Dead silence. The story my parents had spent the entire evening constructing was collapsing in real time, right in front of 200 witnesses, and just when I thought it was over, a woman near the front row raised her hand and asked the one question that would end this family's night for good. She smiled and asked, calm as anything, "Wait, if you graduated 6 months ago, did your parents actually make it to your graduation?" Silence again. Total, suffocating silence. I looked at my parents. Neither one said a single word. So I answered for them. No. They were busy touring wedding venues that weekend. A ripple went through the crowd. People shifted in their seats. Nobody needed further explanation. The pattern spoke entirely for itself, loud and clear, without me saying another word. My parents tried to change the subject. Madison tried to redirect the room back to the reception. But the atmosphere had already shifted permanently. The story everyone believed walking into that room no longer matched the truth sitting in front of them. I handed the microphone back, congratulated the newlyweds one final time, and quietly walked back to my seat. Not long after, I slipped out of the reception entirely. Outside, in the parking lot, under the string lights and valet stands, I felt lighter than I had in years. Here's the thing. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted the truth out in the open, once, in front of the people who'd spent a lifetime rewriting it. In the months that followed, my career kept climbing. New opportunities landed in my inbox. My savings grew. And most importantly, I stopped measuring my worth by whether my family approved of it. Eventually, my parents reached out. And for the first time in my life, I set actual boundaries. For the first time, they had zero leverage left to push back with. Because here's the lesson that took me 26 years to learn. My parents thought that tuition money gave them permanent control over my future. What they never once considered was that I'd already built a future, entirely without them, months before they even noticed. And that's the real twist most people miss in stories like this. The people who underestimate you the hardest are almost always the ones who are the most convinced they already know exactly who you are. If this story hit home for you, smash the like button, subscribe for more stories exactly like this one, and drop a comment below. Have you ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to know you best? Tell me your story. I read every single one.